Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah and day 10 of the Christmas Craft Countdown, where I'm sharing a brand new Christmas themed Cricut project with you every day for 20 days. We're halfway through the countdown now, and at the halfway point in my craft countdowns, this is usually where the gnomes come out. And this time, it's no exception. It's Gnome Day! Here we go. This is what we'll be making today. Rather than a separate male and female gnome design, for this countdown, I've combined them both into this adorable carol singing scene. Both of our gnomes are out singing their little hearts out in a wonderful snowy British scene with a lamppost behind them and a little robin bird out front. This design has got lots of pieces in to make it come to life. It's really dimensional, but still fairly simple shapes, so it's easy to cut and easy to put together. Let's get started. The files for this project are free for the next 24 hours. Here's how to download them. Register a free ticket for the Christmas Craft Countdown at craftwithsarah.com/Christmas25. After registering, you'll get an email which contains a link to the schedule page for the countdown. Visit the schedule page to find and download today's files. Each download is only available for free for 24 hours after it goes live. If you've missed some, check out the Instant Access bundle at craftwithsarah.com/Christmas25 bundle, which gives immediate and ongoing access to all of the files from the Christmas Craft Countdown, plus loads of extra bonus designs. Or purchase just the design from this video at craftwithsarah.com/products. To find the designs from this countdown, click into the Occasions filter and choose Christmas. The designs will appear here each day once the free versions have expired. The download comes in a zip folder. You need to unzip this before uploading the SVG files into your cutting machine software. For instructions on how to use the cut files, visit craftwithsarah.com/help and choose Cricut, Silhouette, or Scan and Cut. Within there are dedicated help guides on topics such as how to upload SVGs, how to modify them to make custom projects, framing tips, and how to cut cardstock with your type of machine. If you have any questions, email hello@craftwithsarah.com. Now, on with today's project. Here are the carol singing gnomes loaded into Cricut Design Space. The design loads in at a great size to cut, which is 7.4 inches wide and 7.2 inches tall, but of course you can make it bigger or smaller if you prefer. You can see all the pieces by clicking the chevron arrow next to the name in the layers panel, and that will show you each individual little bit that makes up this design, and there are a lot in this one. Because there are so many pieces, I don't recommend going smaller than around about 6 inches wide for this particular design, but if you're feeling brave, you could give it a go. To resize, click the design. Make sure the padlock icon between the width and the height boxes is closed. If yours is open, click it to close it. Then you can type either the width or the height, and the other measurement would change in proportion. So you could make it bigger like this, or smaller down to around 6 inches wide. I'm going to do mine at the original size, so let's put that back. There we go, just under 7.5. When you're ready to cut, press Make over on the top right of the screen, and that will separate out all the colours for you. You can change the paper size in here, and then if you want to, you can click and drag to move things about to take up less space on your cardstock. Just make sure when you're doing that nothing overlaps, otherwise it won't cut out properly. And you would need to change the paper size for each individual colour. Don't worry that there are quite a lot of colours in this design. For some of the pieces, you don't need very much of that colour at all, so you can use up perhaps your scraps left over from another project rather than cutting into a brand new sheet. But even if you do need to cut into a brand new sheet, it means you'll still have loads of card left over to use on another project another day. When you're happy with how all of your pieces are looking, press Continue to connect to your Cricut and follow the on-screen instructions to get everything cut from cardstock. Here are my two little Dickensian carol singing gnomes all cut out. I've laid all the pieces of cardstock on top of each other in the correct order, following the assembly guide that's included in the download folder. I've not stuck anything together yet, I've just made sure that I've got all of the pieces. I'll be putting this together with a combination of glue and foam squares. The glue I'm using is Barely Art glue, but I also like Kalal. The reason I like these two glues is they don't bend or wrinkle the card like other glues can do. The foam squares I'm using are from Dot and Dab, but any will do. These particular ones are 2mm thick and 5x5mm in size, so they're quite small, which is going to make them great for going in the smaller pieces of the design. If yours are bigger though, you can cut them smaller with scissors. As with all my layered projects, we're starting at the bottom and then moving upwards. So I'll move some of these pieces apart, keeping some of them vaguely in order because we've already gone to all that effort. So now I'm left with just these very two bottom pieces, the white and then the blue sky to go on top, and this will be glued on. Turn it upside down and add your glue to the back. It lines up exactly on top of the white. You can wiggle it around a bit while your glue's drying to get it perfectly lined up. And that fills in all of those falling pieces of snow. Next up, we've got the lamppost, but before we put this onto the main design, we need to fill in the yellow light on the back. So turn it upside down, and then you've got this yellow piece. And this will be glued to the back to cover up all of those gaps in the light. Like that. So when you look at it from the front, you see it's now all nicely filled in. You might need to wiggle it about a bit once you see it from the front, so try and turn it around before that glue dries to make sure it's lined up really well. Then this will go onto the base using foam squares. I'm going to try and get my foam squares in all the sticky out pieces, like the edges of this base, as well as that lampshade. And then I'm going to work my way through the outside of the design first. Now that I've gone around the edges, I also want to add some foam squares in the middle. The reason for that is that if there's nothing in the middle, there's nothing to keep the cardstock upright across the whole size of the piece. And you might find that it dips downwards a little bit in the middle and you don't get quite as good a 3D effect. But by putting some bits in the middle, then we'll make sure it looks really good. I'm also going to cut some of my foam squares in half to put a couple of little pieces in the stand of the lamppost. They cut really easily. You can just go down, do a few. Get a little tricky to pick up when they're small, but not too bad. I'm just being really careful to make sure that none of my foam squares go outside the edges or in any of the little gaps, otherwise they'll be visible on the final project, and we don't want that. We want all these foam squares to be nice and hidden. Now I can peel the tops off to reveal the stickiness underneath. Now my foam squares are sticky, I'll bring my base back in. I'm going to use the bottom bit here to line it up, and also the bit at the top where it's got the little outline of the top of the lamppost. Get it into position and then gently drop down. That way it's only carefully placed on top, not stuck yet. So if you weren't quite happy with the positioning, you can pick it up and move it without damaging anything. But I think that looks pretty spot on, so I will push down to stick. Next up, you can either make the male gnome over here, or you can make the female gnome. I am going to do the male gnome pieces first, I think. It's quite a lot to him. He's very thick, even without any foam squares in there. I'll move some of these apart again. And then we've got the bottom layer of his beard to go on with foam squares. Next up is the detail layer in his beard to glue on. Then we've got the black piece of his hat to glue on top. Then we've got the solid piece, which will make up the decoration on his hat, This one we're gluing as well. Then the detail layer, also to glue. Be careful around the edges of the little patterns because it's very thin. That's why I really like Barely Art glue, because the nozzle on the bottom is so thin. Next up, we're working on the holly on his hat, starting with the solid piece to put on with foam squares. Next up is the detail of the holly, the darker green with the slits cut out of the leaves. This one is done with glue. Then we've got the white piece, which is this one, again with glue. Then there's a little red piece for the berries. Two of the berries have got holes in them, and that's the ones that you'll be able to see. So I've added a little bit of glue along the bottom there. Put this on top. The solid berry at the bottom is what I'll be touching up against that glue. Here we are. That's what we've got so far. Then next up is the black piece that makes up the brim along the front of his hat to go on with glue. And we've got his nose, of course, with foam squares. Gotta get that nose popping out. There we are. And now we can move on to his book. We'll start with the back pages, and these will be done with foam squares. There is a lot of depth in this project. I just turn it up now. You can see how much that's popping out. And then we've got the detail of the book pages to glue on top. Then we've got the main book to glue, the green piece. Then the spine of the book. And the one for the male gnome is slightly bigger than the one for the female gnome. So we've got the male one and the female one. I try and put them right next to each other. You see that one is slightly bigger, so make sure you choose the correct one. I'm going to move that one back over with the female and add the glue to the back of here. And then it lines up along the bottom of the book. There'll be a little bit of the darker green still visible at the top in a little oval to make it look like the spine. Then finally, for the male, just his mittens to go with foam squares. You can put the foam directly on the back of the little mitten pieces, but I find for small bits it's a little easier, if you know exactly where it's going to go, to put it on the design first. And here's his second mitten, and that's Mr. Male Gnome finished. So now we'd better start on the female. For the female gnome, as well as building up the gnome, it will also be building up the shapes along the bottom, which is why it's got this extra bit here. It's so that by the time we're finished, the snow will look like it's in line with their feet for a more realistic appearance. First up, we've got this piece to stick on with foam squares. Just like when we added the big piece with the lamppost on it, we're going to use the bottom to line this up. We want it to be nice and straight along that bottom edge. And as this is a big bit, I'll just gently drop it down again. Check I'm happy with that. I just moved it when I was checking it, so I'm going to start again. There we go. Did a better attempt that time anyway. Next up is the white piece to glue on. Then we've got the darker red for the brim of her hat to do in foam squares. Next up is her hair, starting with the solid layer to glue on. Then it's the detail layer of her hair, also to glue. Next, I'm going to work on the book, but you could do the base bit, doesn't matter which one you do next. But if you're doing the book, start with the solid bit, and this goes on with foam squares. Next is the detail layer to glue. Then front of the book, also to glue. Then the spine of the book, you've guessed it, I'm going to be gluing this one too. Once again, line it up along that little bottom ledge. And there'll be a bit of the darker colour showing at the top. And foam square for her nose. And foam squares for her mittens. Oh, I just dropped one of the tops of foam squares. There we go. Right, that's her done. Now we've just got the snow and the robin at the bottom. Start with the snow to go on with foam squares. There's that. Then the robin has got 4 pieces, starting with the black. And you can either glue this or use foam squares. The idea with the feet is it's sort of supposed to look like he's buried in the snow. So glue might make more sense. But then he's going to be a little bit lower than the book on the male. So I'm going to go for foam square so that he is more level with the book on the male one, I think. Yeah, that looks fine. Then next up is the white piece, and all the rest of the ribbon will be glued. Then it's the red. It's so small. And finally the brown for his feathers. And there we are, that's our carol singing gnomes, complete with cute little robin at the bottom, all finished. I hope that you enjoyed following along with me to make these lovely little carol singing gnomes for Christmas. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more Cricut crafts and free SVGs. I hope to see you again tomorrow for day 11 of the Christmas craft countdown, but for now, thank you so much for watching. Bye!